What's going on, folks? This is Christian Thomas coming at you with another video, and I'm going to talk to you all about cultural Marxism on college campuses. Yeah, cultural Marxism on college campuses. And it's really funny how I'm wearing a shirt that says college. And anywho, let's dive right in. First, we need to get an understanding of what Marxism is. Marxism is basically a form of communism, which is a form of socialism that divides people into two separate classes, the proletariat and the bourgeoisie. According to Karl Marx, the bourgeoisie is the upper class and the proletariat is the working class. And this structure was created to ensure that people thought and operated as a collective. And these people were extremely against capitalism. And this drives me to my second point, which is cultural Marxism. Cultural Marxism is very similar to the traditional Marxism, by which how people are divided into two separate categories. And that, what I mean by that is that it's basically identity politics. And we have the oppressors and we have the oppressed. And if you're white, you're automatically the oppressor. If you're male, you're automatically the oppressor. If you're straight, you're automatically the oppressor. If you're a Christian, Republican, so forth and so on. And if you're cisgender, you're automatically the oppressor. And as far as the oppressed, if you're a person of color, if you're a woman, if you're bisexual, gay, lesbian, transgender, Muslim, disabled, whatever, you're automatically looked at as the oppressed. And this is a problem among college campuses, especially because since I've been in college, I've faced a lot of stuff that pertain to privilege, all this white privilege and male privilege and things like that. I've become inundated with thinking that I'm oppressed and that all these other people have privilege, when that's not necessarily true. I don't look at myself as oppressed, and I do have privilege. Everybody has some kind of privilege in some sort of way, shape, or fashion. And honestly, I don't think that privilege is necessarily dictated by race or gender. Sure, people of different races or genders are more likely to have different outcomes in their lives, but that does not mean that they would be inherently privileged or oppressed, depending on what axes you're looking at. And oppression, it means the cruel or unjust treatment or the disallowance of somebody or disallowing someone of their basic fundamental rights. If we're looking at that definition, the traditional definition of oppression, none of us are really oppressed in America. I can't really say none of us, but a good majority of us aren't legitimately oppressed in America, because we are able to vote, we're able to go to school, we're able to go to college, we're able to get any kind of job we want. So I'm not understanding why we're looked at as oppressed. Sure, there was a point in time where blacks, women, LGBT people or whatever were oppressed, but that time isn't now. We live in a different age now, and things have progressed over the past several decades and the past centuries. And when I ask people and my peers and things of that nature, when I ask them how exactly are they oppressed, they give me an example of being called the N-word, or being stopped by the police, or let me think of another example, or somebody being racist towards them. I just wanted to clear up, somebody being racist or sexist or whatever towards you, that's not them oppressing you. The only way that they could oppress you through racism or sexism, whatever, if they intentionally create institutional barriers to keep you from being successful. And as far as I can tell, I don't see any of that happening right here in the United States of America. And because 50 years ago, we became allowed to vote. When I say we, I mean black people. And only 2 years ago, LGBT people were allowed to marry whoever they want. And about, again, go back to 50 years ago, we had to drink out of separate water fountains, and we couldn't even date somebody that's outside of our race. And I think all of those would qualify as examples of oppression, like not being able to date outside of your race, not being able to vote because of your race or gender, not being able to marry whoever you want because of your sexuality status, somebody basically creating all of these disadvantages towards you. I look at those as oppression. I don't look at somebody calling you a nigger or police stopping you. I don't look at those as examples of oppression. I'm sorry, I just don't. And going back to the cultural Marxist theory, I said all of that to reach my point with cultural Marxist theory. And over the past few years, cultural Marxism has been taking place in the form of Black Lives Matter, third wave feminism, Antifa, the alt-right, and so forth and so on. And I bring all of this up because I believe that both sides engage in various different forms of cultural Marxism and identity politics. The far left wants to create a black ethno-state, which means that they want black people to have their own separate countries. And people on the alt-right wants a white ethno-state, which means that they want white people in their own separate countries. And to clarify, I don't think everybody that claims to be alt-right necessarily thinks in those terms, but I know a lot of alt-right people who do. And to bring up the alt-right really quickly, the alt-right was basically just a rejection of mainstream conservatism up until about a year ago, where Richard Spencer joined the alt-right and started his white supremacist, white ethno-state diatribe. And I think Richard Spencer is a cultural Marxist and Tara McCarthy is a cultural Marxist because they are about promoting white identity. They think that all white people should be seen as a collective. And I also think people that support Black Lives Matter and third wave feminism, they're also cultural Marxists too. Because, like I said, they're about supporting the black collective or the female collective and disregarding everybody else that they deem as quote unquote privileged. And if you have a collectivist, tribalist mentality, you are far more likely to engage in cultural Marxism. And how I see this whole thing personally, I think individual interests should come before group interests, because even when you're within a certain group, no one has the exact same problems, no one has the exact same experiences. And for people like Black Lives Matter to say that all black people are more likely to be stopped by the police, and that's total BS, because not all black people have the same experiences. For me, for example, it's like I've never really had any negative experiences dealing with the police, and I turned out okay. And it's just that a lot of people, a lot of these cultural Marxist groups, they like to push these false statistics and these pseudoscientific arguments to promote their cultural Marxist agenda. And like I said, both extreme sides are cultural Marxists. The alt-right and the progressive left are cultural Marxists. And if you like this video, please give my video a like, comment, and subscribe, and please share to your channel. Please share to your social media platforms with all of your friends. That said, follow me on Twitter at _Krispy Kreme, and that's Chris with a K and 2 S's, and Cream is with a K too. And also follow me on Twitter at Molten Snowflake, MOLTEN Snowflake, because I like to melt snowflakes. Alright, and before I close out, please check me out on Biggest Mikey's live stream tonight, and have a good one, folks. Peace.